Hi friends, my name is Sarath. In this video, I am going to explain you the sources of the Indian Constitution. Please remember here the main source of the Indian Constitution are the basis taken from the 1935 Government of India Act 1935. Okay, next one. The ideals of the liberty, equality and fraternity which are mentioned in the preamble, and the term republic see the India is a republic state. That means India is having a president. Okay, so these two things are adopted from the French constitution, that is France constitution. Okay, next one, the procedure for amendment in the Indian constitution and election of members of the Rajya Sabha. These two things are adopted from South African constitution. Friends, here the procedure for amendment in the constitution, the article deals with this is article 368. Okay, and election of the members of the Rajya Sabha. Election of the members of the Rajya Sabha. There are here note this point that the Rajya Sabha is having at most 250 members. Among them 238 are elected members and 12 members are nominated members. But the Rajya Sabha is presently having 245 strength. Okay, among them 233 are elected members and 12 are nominated members. Okay, see here the procedure for amendment in the Indian Constitution and the election of the members of the Rajya Sabha both are adopted from South African Constitution. One, the suspension of the fundamental rights during emergency. Friends, here we talk about three types of emergencies which the articles dealing with them are 352, 356 and 360. 360 deals with the financial emergency, 356 deals with the president rule or the state emergency, 352 deals with the national emergency. During these emergencies, our fundamental rights, some of our fundamental rights can be suspended. Please remember here that Article 20 and 21 provides us two fundamental rights which deals with the right to life and personal liberty. Article 21 deals with the right to personal liberty, and Article 20 deals with the double jeopardy and ex post facto, like that. So these two articles or these two rights given by the 20 and 21 articles cannot be suspended even during the time of emergency. See here, the suspension of the fundamental rights during emergency is taken from German constitution, which is also called as Weimar constitution. Next one, the fundamental rights, independence of judiciary, judicial review, impeachment of the president, removal of Supreme Court and High Court judges, post of vice president. All these things are adopted from American Constitution. See here, fundamental rights. Our Constitution deals with the fundamental rights in Part 3. Part 3 deals with the fundamental rights. These are 12 to 35. Article 12 to 35 and Part 3 deals with the fundamental rights. Okay, these fundamental rights are borrowed from the American Constitution. And next, independence of judiciary. See, there are three institutions are there in our mentioned in our Constitution, which are executive, legislative and judiciary. All these things are independent in nature. Okay, so the independence of judiciary is taken from the American Constitution. And next, there is also known as judicial review. Judicial review is if the government makes any law, if the government makes any law, we can go to court and the review can be done by the courts. Okay, this is judicial review. Judicial review is also taken from the American Constitution. And next one, the impeachment of the president. Impeachment of the president means we can remove the president if he is incapable of the post. There are certain conditions by which the president can be impeached. Okay, so articles here you note the point that the president related articles deals with part 5 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, article 52 to 62 deals with the president. Okay, in that impeachment of the president deals with the article 61 article. Okay, article 61 deals with the impeachment of the president. And next one, the removal of the Supreme Court and High Court judges. Okay, next one, this one. And next, post of vice president. Post of vice president is also, and next, removal of the Supreme Court and High Court judges. These two are taken from the American Constitution. Okay, and next, here you see the post of vice president. Vice president, you here note one point that vice president is the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Okay, Rajya Sabha ex officio chairman. Whoever may be the vice president, he is the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Okay. Just wait a minute. Let me explain this again. See here, the fundamental rights, independence of judiciary, judicial review, impeachment of the president, and next, removal of Supreme Court and High Court judges, and next, last one, post of the vice president. All these things are taken from the American Constitution. Okay, next one, parliamentary form of the government. Next, rule of law, legislative procedures, single citizenship, cabinet system, prerogative writs, parliamentary privileges, bicameralism. All these things are taken from United Kingdom, that is British Constitution. Okay, see here again, parliamentary form of the government. Okay, in 1935 Act is the reference for us. Okay, Government of India Act 1935. Okay, this is the basis we have taken to prepare our constitution. In that also we have parliamentary form of the government. Okay, and next, rule of law. Rule of law is also taken from United Kingdom Constitution. And next, legislative procedures, how the laws are being made in the either maybe the state legislative assembly or the central legislative assembly, that is parliament. Okay, and next, single citizenship. See, in India we are having only one citizenship. Suppose if you take America, in America we are having two citizenships. Okay, and next, the citizen here, note the one point, like citizenship articles deals with part 2. Okay, part 2 deals with the citizenship. Okay, that is article 5 to 11. Article 5 to 11 deals with the citizenship. Okay, but in here in India we are only allowing single citizenship. One person can have only one citizenship at a time. Okay, and next, cabinet system, that means few of the ministers of the important ministries will form the cabinet here. Okay, and next, prerogative writs means the Supreme Court and High Courts both can issue writs. Okay, there are 5 kinds of writs are there. Okay, habeas corpus, mandamus, certiorari, prohibition, and quo warranto. Okay, quo warranto. These are 5 writs which can be issued by the Supreme Court or High Court. Okay, and next, parliamentary privileges. The privileges for the members of the parliaments and the members of the houses of the parliament. Okay, they are having some privileges. These are parliamentary privileges. And next, bicameralism means there are 2 houses, just like in our parliament we are having lower house, that is Lok Sabha, and upper house, that is Rajya Sabha. Okay, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay, these are 2 houses which forms a bicameralism. Okay, these things are adopted from United Kingdom, that is British Constitution. Let me explain this again. See here, the parliamentary form of government, rule of law, legislative procedures, single citizenship, cabinet system, prerogative writs, parliamentary privileges, and bicameralism. All these things are adopted from British Constitution. Next one. Next one, this is fundamental duties. Fundamental duties and ideals of justice. The justices, ideals of justice are social justice, economic justice, and political justice, which are mentioned in the preamble. In preamble, these three things are mentioned. Okay, so the fundamental duties and ideals of justice. These two are mentioned in the Soviet Union Constitution. Okay, which the government of India has adopted these two things from Russian or Soviet Union Constitution. Okay, so see here, let's see few points about the fundamental duties. There are 11 fundamental duties, okay, which are mentioned in the part 4a. Okay, part 4a. See, all these 11 are mentioned in article 51a. Okay, article 51a, article 51a, part 4a. Okay, so there are 11 fundamental duties are mentioned. Okay, and these fundamental duties are added in the Indian Constitution through 42nd Constitution Amendment Act, which is passed in 1976. Okay, 1976 42nd Constitution Amendment included these 11 fundamental duties which are mentioned in article 51a. Okay, and next, which is a part of the part 4a. Okay, these fundamental duties and ideals of justices are adopted from Soviet Union Constitution. Next, the procedure established by law. Okay, the procedure established by law. Okay, by law, the procedure established. You see the article 21. Article 21 deals with the right to life and personal liberty. No person is deprived of his life and personal life and personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. Okay, these things adopted from the Japan Constitution. Okay, next one, the directive principles of state policy. Nomination of members to Rajya Sabha. We can nominate few members to Rajya Sabha. Okay, that one. And method of election of the president. India is having a president. The method of elections of the president. Directive principles of state policy, nomination of members to Rajya Sabha, and method of president. All these things are borrowed from Ireland Constitution, that is Irish Constitution. Okay, friends, here the directive principles of state policy are mentioned in part 4. Okay, article 36 to article 51 DPSPC mentioned. Okay, and next one, see here, we can nominate, the president can nominate 12 members to Rajya Sabha. Maximum strength of the Rajya Sabha we know 250. 12 members nominated, that means 238 can be elected. Okay, 238 can be elected, but now we are having 233 members elected, so we are having only 245 members strength in the Rajya Sabha. Okay, and Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. You know, Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. And next, method of election of the president. The presidential elections method is borrowed from Ireland Constitution. Presidential articles, article 52 to 62. Okay, presidential articles. Okay, the method of election of the president, the article deals with is article 54 deals with the method of election of the president. And there is one more important article regarding the president. President can be impeached by the, this is mentioned in the article 61. Presidential impeachment 61, presidential elections 54. Okay, so directive principles of state policy, nomination of members to Rajya Sabha, and the method of elections to the president are borrowed from Irish Constitution. One, federation with the strong center, vesting of residuary powers with the center, and next, appointment of state governors by the center, and next, advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is having advisory jurisdiction. Okay, all these things are borrowed from Canadian government. Okay, Canadian Constitution. Sorry, and next one, You see here it is mentioned the federation example. The best example of federation is America, USA. That means 50 states come together, 50 states come together to form United States of America, and they have right to secede. Okay, but in India no state is having the right to secede from the country. Okay, so India is article 1. Article 1 deals with India. India, that is a union of states. Article 1 says India, that is union of states. Okay, but our country is having features of federation. That is why they have mentioned this one. Okay, the federation with a strong center is taken from the Canadian Constitution. And next one, vesting of the residuary powers. Vesting of the residuary powers. You see, Schedule 7. Schedule 7 is dealing with Schedule 7 dealing with union list, state list, concurrent list. Okay, so there is a union list, there is a state list, and concurrent list. Okay, so anything that comes out of this, which comes to the residuary powers. Okay, so but these residuary powers are vested with the central government. Okay, and next, appointment of the state governors by the center. Usually the state governments are appointed by the president. Okay, president referred by the central government. Okay, so appointment of the state governors by the central government. And next one, advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is having four kinds of jurisdictions. Among them, advisory jurisdiction is one of them. Okay, advisory jurisdiction, that means if the government wants or the president wants anything to be reviewed by the Supreme Court, or the president seeks the advice of the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court is having the advisory jurisdiction. Okay, so you see the article dealing with the advisory jurisdiction is article 143. Okay, article 143. Article 143 dealing with the advisory jurisdiction. Okay, these are things borrowed from the Canadian Constitution. Okay, let us see again. Okay, federation with a strong center, vesting of the residuary powers with the center, appointment of the state governors by the center, advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. All these borrowed from the Canadian Constitution. And next one, concurrent list. Concurrent list. Just now we have seen Schedule 7 is dealing with the union list, state list, and concurrent list. So concurrent list is borrowed from Australian Constitution. Okay, and next one, freedom of trade and commerce. Freedom of trade and commerce also borrowed from Australian Constitution. And next, joint sitting of the two houses of the Parliament, which is very important. Okay, joint sitting of the two houses of the Parliament. We are having two houses of the Parliament, which are lower house, upper house. Okay, upper house. Okay, if there is any ambiguity, if there is a deadlock between the decision making of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, that is lower house and upper house, the president can summon. Okay, who can summon? President can summon joint sitting. Okay, that provision is taken from Australian Constitution. See here, the joint sitting is very important. Concurrent list, freedom of trade and commerce, and joint sitting of the two houses of Parliament. All these things borrowed from Australian Constitution. Okay, see here, joint sitting of the two houses of the Parliament is summoned by the president. Okay, summoned by the president. There is an article dealing with this. Is article 108 deals with the joint sitting of the two houses of the Parliament. And see here, who presides over the joint sitting of the two houses of the Parliament? Lok Sabha Speaker. Okay, Lok Sabha Speaker. Lok Sabha Speaker presides over. Lok Sabha President summons. Article 108 is dealing with this, and Lok Sabha Speaker is handling this joint sitting. Okay, sorry, is presiding over this joint sitting, Lok Sabha Speaker. Okay, Friends, this is my first video of the polity. If you find this video helpful, please click on like button, and if you find it helpful, please share and subscribe. Thank you very much.